Okay, we are live. Hello, Tom. You are officially doxxed.
Come on, Ed. Yeah, I've done tons of these streams anyways, so I think
Oh,
I post
have
like
you been doxxed?
I
You have
post
been.
based on my like I'll post my I do like DJing as a side hobby, and I'll post like stuff on my Twitter occasionally. So I'm past that.
Past that phase for doxing?
Yeah, someone on the team's got to do it. You got to have that personal touch, and I feel like if I'm like the front lines of the marketing and like the podcast, you got to make it interactive, and it's cool when you go to a conference and someone recognizes you too.
What do you DJ? Like, what's your genre?
I would say like melodic house, like a little bit of everything, tech house. There's so many different genres in that sector. Do you go to any shows in New York or?
I think in New York, mostly it's just techno shows, like deep in Brooklyn. Or sometimes, every single weekend, there will be some DJs coming to some clubs in New York, too.
Or some warehouse somewhere, and it's like people are smoking cigarettes in like a old dungy place, and the music's like blaring. Like those are pretty fun too, I'm sure.
Mm, yes, yes. But anyways, before we jump into what we're gonna talk about, which is DeFi, and I seriously recommend everyone who says DeFi is dying, please block them. It's not dying, first of all. But second, like Tom, do you want to quickly introduce yourself? What you do? What is Curvens? But very, very quickly, 1 to 2 sentences.
Sure. I am Tom. I've been with Curvans for, I guess, a little over 2 years. I have a background in tech sales, and with Curvans on the marketing side, I handle anything from marketing strategy, content creation, doing fun live streams like this, handling all the socials, whether that's the intern account, main account. We do some stuff on TikTok now, on YouTube and Instagram. So pretty much the whole Swiss Army knife of marketing when it comes to DeFi. So excited to be here and excited to be working with you guys, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really a long due conversation because literally we were going to have this live stream probably last week, but sorry that I was sick.
I was
And
too.
then
Don't worry about it.
yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, Tom. Very last minute, I have to cancel our live stream. But Tom was always very understanding. And Tom, I think I was okay to cancel it last minute because I still remember there was one time. How I know Tom is like we were planning a marketing campaign together between Sprout and Curvens because we were doing the integration. But then I realized like Tom misspelled Sprout or you tagged some other Sprout. And I was like, what's going on? And at that time, I don't know Tom very well because I know, okay, I would just say my, right? That's what other people know him, or does people know his first name? I'll just say my. And then I was like, what's going on? Correct it. And then Tom sent me a long DM message say, oh, Mina, I'm sorry, da da da. And then I was like, okay, let's do a live stream to make this up.
Like shake hands and make it work. I felt so bad about that. I was going through. We had like a ecosystem list of partners, and many of these I hadn't worked with. Only half I had done like a spaces with, and I think I typed in your name, and there was another one that's like almost identical. There's the only thing that popped up. I was like, I guess that's the one, and I tagged it, and it sure enough, I sent it through, and I was like, dang, that's the wrong one. When you said that, I was like, some of these look similar on the Twitter, but yeah, after that I definitely did a deep dive on you guys and got to learn more about how it works, and now we've got like an integration together, which is awesome. So
yeah, maybe that's the reason why people say DeFi people are not serious.
oh no, don't give me that. I'm just getting grilled now.
This is a joke. This is a joke. I personally think, to be honest, like I know Mai for a long time, which is the founder of Curvens.
Right.
Like he has been building Curvens for many years, and I have seen him like pulling the team initially just like mainly by himself to now like building currents and then doing more and more traditional finance integrations. It's just amazing. And I'm actually honored to have you guys as a partner. But it did take a while for us like to do internal due diligence as well, because we when you guys were just launching on Monet, and then you were like, oh, do you guys want to do the integration? I always say, oh, can you wait a little bit, because we want to see like how the protocol gonna run. And now, how many months has it been like since you guys have been live officially?
Gosh, I guess whatever it is since November, so only really a handful. So basically like 5 months, I guess. Time flies, I guess.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, okay, let me just quickly share my screen just to let me see. But I guess like I want to share. I want to do the promotion before we get into the DeFi conversation.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It'd be cool to maybe like explain, like for users that are from Curvance and learn about Sprout, kind of like the front end. And I really like how you all, it's very intuitive, simplified, like asking you the list of questions on your onboarding. It's not asking you like connect a wallet and all this complicated stuff. And maybe like if you could give kind of like a quick summary of how the magic happens on the back end, and how the yield is abstracted. I guess you would say people are only really seeing the front end and they're depositing their assets and getting the APY. But how does that pairing work, and like where is the yield coming from as it's being like routed from Curvance?
Yeah, I mean, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, that's perfect.
So essentially, like when you come to Sprout, right, you can choose different risk score, and we literally are building this yield engine system for retail users because Tom, you got some fans in the chat. Hello, Emerald Doodles. Yeah, in the comment section. Okay, I got distracted. There's like some audience from YouTube. Anyways, let's continue. So when you choose a different risk score, we literally like want the users to know like what they're getting into. The risk score here is more a representation of like how volatile their yield's gonna be, not meaning like how risky their funds are. Because remember, Sprout is always diversified, and we only tap into delta neutral strategies, meaning we don't have any directional exposure to any kind of assets, and underlying is only like delta neutral strategies or it's stable coins. So usually stable coins are packed 1-to-1 to digital US dollar. And with that being said, like when you click on different risk score, of course we're going to recommend some allocation, right? For example, if you want a very low risk portfolio, then we'll only allocate 4% to currents. But when you say, oh, I actually want to earn a lot of yield, then we will put a bit more into currents. But if you're like really a currents fan, then what you can do is you can basically say, okay, I only want to allocate into currents 100%, which I think Tom will do this.
100%, yeah.
And then you can say, I confirm the strategy. And after that, like we will do the rebalance for you. Today, the yield is a bit negative, is because of the negative HLP. By the way, I don't know what's going on with the HLP. Is it like a lot of people try to manipulate like the pricing for some meme coins, and then they are trying to like farm the HLP vault? I think that's what has been going on. But essentially, like you can see what you have been earning historically over the time, like amounts, how much you have earned, and also like how we have rebalanced your position over time.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And you see, like we also removed all our position from resolve, of course, for like from that accident, and all the user found out covered. So kudos. But I guess like this tool, I think it's very meaningful from both ends. Is we are getting very solid yield from currents under the current market. I think the vault that we integrated from you guys is constantly printing 10% since the very beginning. And on the other side, like from Sprout side, we will be able to distribute the 10% yield to our retail users in South Korea, in Southeast Asia, and of course all the other regions. But South Korea and Southeast Asia are two very strategic region for Sprout because we have very niche like distribution channels there.
Mhm.
We work with like many B2B2C consumer apps where you have like social apps. You also have some, let's say when people go to the restaurant, and then if they pay with that specific app, they will earn extra yield and they will earn extra points. And that's like where Sprouts are all getting integrated into those systems.
Right.
But today is not about promotion, okay, guys. We are here to talk about why DeFi is not dead. First of all, Tom, have you been following the recent news? Like what happened with Aave, Resolve, Drift?
I have the drift stuff, not quite as much, but over the weekend did a little bit of like a dive on some of this stuff, and I guess maybe for those that are streamed in to that aren't quite as familiar, or like maybe want some frame of reference, it's almost like someone went into a bank with counterfeit gold, let's just say, and the bank lent them real cash, so the person that was going into the bank was able to, in this case, it's what is RS ETH through Kelp. They're able to use the layer 0 bridge. And I guess it was a little bit, there was some fault on like the layer 0 side and maybe the Kelp end a little bit. But being able to go onto Aave and mint and borrow, was it ETH, I guess, or tables, which drove the utilization up to 100%. So there's like so many different layers to it that, pretty complex situation. But what was the total amount? Like
250 million. Yeah. Let me check. Is the like utilization still 100%? Let me see.
Yeah, because then people can't withdraw, obviously, and it's going to create like a cascade of. It's pretty wild to look at like the DeFi llama for Aave and how much has left. It's so crazy.
Wow. I mean, okay, let's see. Let me just share my screen quickly. Can you guys see my screen? This is Aave. And then, okay. I think right now, wow, look. The borrow APY has come down for Ethereum. But if you look at, let's say, just purely Aave V3 USD, this has been the borrowing rate for the past week. And it's still like as high as 13.43%.
Yeah, the craziest part about all this is that, a lot of people traditionally think of like Aave as, like this safe, like home base for DeFi. And once, a lot of this stuff kind of becomes compromised, you lose a lot of trust. I think in the broader terms of DeFi, it's like the drift stuff was already bad enough. And then it's kind of just like, man, we can't catch a break.
So it's still 100% utilization rate.
Man.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, for a really long time, people will think that. And even for Aave's, I guess their mobile app, they are providing each retail users up to 500K or 1 million insurance, direct insurance. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And me personally, I think like retail user will be fine this time, but it's going to take a little bit of time for CalpDAO, Layer 0, and Aave to figure out like who is responsible for what. But I'm 100% like transparent and just like saying what's on my mind, right? I think I'm a bit disappointed to see like, I guess the response from CalpDAO and Layer 0, because obviously for this event, right, those two are the main or the major counterparties that are responsible mainly for this event. But both of their, I guess, response to this event is almost like, okay, blank capital, blank layer 0. And then Aave, which on the other side, maybe just only like accountable for 10% or 20% of the responsibility, has to create this long ass report and saying, oh, here's scenario 1. Like if we socialize the loss, like across, like say East Mainland and all the layer 2s, and here's scenario number 2. If we don't socialize the loss and just let each of the layer 2s be responsible for their loss. And Aave has been accused so much since the very beginning of the event, because people were like, oh, Aave, you have so much money. You are handling our TVL. Why are you not saying anything? And then people were saying, oh, it has been like 20 hours and Aave still haven't said a thing. I mean, come on, guys. I think like we are actually putting Aave into a very tough spot in this case, which like they are not the major like party who is responsible for this. But I also don't know like what's the actual going on the behind, right? What kind of conversation are they having? Like, is Aave facilitating the conversation between Countdown and Layer 0? Are they even talking? And then we see more drama. Like yesterday, we see Arbitrum, right? They officially say we have this like security council, and we have done like a 9 out of 9 vote to say we're gonna transfer the fund from the hacker's wallet to our safe wallet, which I was like eye-opening. I mean, I still think any events or any action that a protocol, a company take to protect the user funds should be taken. Right. No matter how you talk about decentralization. I know we are all here for decentralization, but now we are talking about user funds. And we are talking about we are on our way to achieve decentralization. Nothing is perfect. So I will still always vote for the protocol or the action that actually like, okay, we're going to take users into consideration, and then we're going to do the things, even though people are going to criticize us, but I'm going to protect the users.
I was on a live stream yesterday, and we had this exact conversation about this decentralization versus centralization. Like, you know, where is the line drawn? Like looking at the Arbitrum response and some of these others, you know, when it's protecting the users in all cases, you would say that's a good thing for all parties involved. But, you know, having that autonomy or like the control and the power to, you know, pull the, you know, make moves without like, you know, DAO being involved. And so it's really like it opens up Pandora's box for all these different, you know, things, and especially with all this stuff with AI tools and like auditing and how fast that's, you know, we're kind of at this really interesting inflection point in DeFi. It's kind of like make or break kind of, but I think the conclusion of the conversation that we had yesterday was like, you know, in a lot of industries, you have hundreds, if not thousands of these different types of companies, and only the strong ones will, you know, pull up from the ashes, the ones that, you know, are buttoned up from a security standpoint, and also have mechanisms like, you know, we're big on like isolated markets. That's kind of like a narrative that we're leaning into. I'm working on a post for it right now today. And kind of the importance of that, and like, you know, contagion risk and stuff, because the last thing you want is another situation where, you know, one hole spoils the bunch. But when you list new assets, it's like you got to do your due diligence on like, you know, how all these things work, and because we want to be able to offer some really exotic types of like yield bearing assets, but we also don't want to just list everything. So,
I mean, I think there's always a trade-off between capital efficiency, which is like how much leverage you are putting on your like capital, versus security, right? If you isolate the markets, of course, like there will be less use case for your capital. But I think like naturally how currents function is already, you already have some leverage, because you're already connecting the money market to the DEX liquidity provisioning. So do you want to quickly like tell users how it's functioning?
For like isolated markets and things like that?
Yeah, or like how Curve smartly connect, like I guess the money market with the DEX liquidity.
that might be more of like a my question with some of like
Oh,
the components, honestly.
my, where are you? Come.
It's like what's that?
Let me read him.
Yeah, ring it in is like a +1.
No, let's not put Mai on this. So every single time I talk to Mai, once he get into his zone, he gonna talk for like an hour or two.
I think that checks out. I think you're definitely my if I know any better. But yeah, he's one of the brightest people I know, and I think that's maybe why it's important sometimes. Like with some of these complex topics, there's someone like me that's able to kind of like take his big brain information and kind of like water it down into content that's like understandable. Like me as the user, I'm using Curvance and like what are the risks involved, and like when I'm participating in these different types of markets and leveraging up, how is like, where's the yield come from? Like, what are the risks involved? Like, I just want like a simple breakdown of me as the user and how it benefits me. I think we've even talked about doing like a pro and a way that Coinbase has like a Coinbase and a Coinbase Pro, so that you have an option for more like complex users that want to see and do more exotic functions.
I actually never used the Coinbase Pro version.
I haven't either, to be honest with you. I'm not that. There's a lot of functions on that. I really just need Coinbase as like an on-off ramp. That's all I use it for. So
me too.
Admittedly, and I think a lot of people,
they charge so much. Coinbase, are you listening? Why are you charging so much for trading?
It's like $40 for a trade, or like for me to just sell and like offer. I'm like, geez, I guess that's the price you pay. But I've been using Kraken more recently, actually. But it's a balance, I guess.
Balance about what? About who has the license?
I've almost migrated all my stuff to Kraken, to be honest. I had like a business account with them, but Coinbase I'm not really a fan of at this point. Like so many people have had to with their account locked and all this stuff. I'm just like, I'm kind of done with it.
Have your account ever been locked?
I haven't had it myself, but I've had friends have that happen. I'm just like, I don't even want to take the risk or like even hold any in that account. I just need it like to be able to like withdraw and then go to a bank account.
They don't lock your account, but like for our ramping, I still remember it was it 10-10 or like was there like a DeFi event? There was a really huge market draw up and draw down. And I remember on that day I was trying to on-ramp some money, but they say, oh, your money gonna arrive 7 days later. I'm like, what's the point?
It's not crypto anymore. It feels like that sounds like something Fidelity would do, just like your like snail mail or like it's like your pigeon mail at this point.
Aren't you guys working with Fidelity?
Well, I mean, we are, but it's like it makes you think like maybe there's certain attributes that we have in our platform that can be implemented with like I'm thinking even maybe like you have a stock portfolio and being able to like collateralize your Amazon stock and borrow against it and do fun functions like that. So even if it was like a Fidelity front end, but like a Curvance back end, I think that would be really neat, because I think with all this RWAs being popular, that could be like a cool narrative. So
are you guys working on that? Alpha.
Not to my knowledge at the moment, but I think we've talked about like RWAs just in general, or like different what was it, like gold derivatives and stuff. Because that just seems like where people are migrating towards. But it's tough to find that balance too of like, do you position your platform more for retail, more for institutional side? And I think like we were talking about earlier, like eliminating a lot of the complexity. And that's why I really like what you guys are building, is because it has that feel of like a traditional finance platform to kind of onboard you, and but still have the ability to see like where the yield is coming from, so that you can participate with less clicks.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I will just show like the Curvance page a little bit, like to let people know if you want to use Curvance by yourself, what like we are talking about here. So let me just like, and this is not showing. Actually, I gonna diss them. Not this. So here, like, you need to, like, I guess, wait. So, sorry, just very. So how do I? Okay, here. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
If you really like go to Curvens, right? This is dashboard, this is Explorer. And then right now it's showing you, okay, this is the vol we integrated, which is giving you the 10.13% APY. But what really, if you hover it on, like this vault itself will receive the upship points as well as like the wrap amount. And then it's all like different incentives you guys are receiving from, I assume, Monad ecosystem. And then maybe every day or every week, like for users who are doing the vaults themselves, they need to go to Merkle and then claim the rewards and then sell them out to USDC and then redeposit into the vault if they want it to be like continuously compound the yield. Which, I mean, I think it does take time. So, but
Yeah.
I guess like when you come to Sprout, what we do is like we are doing that on behalf of you guys. And then we also assess each of the quality of those vaults and say, oh, I like this, I like that. Like I actually, I think you guys also recommend me to integrate this, but then I was also like looking, how each of the underlying like USDC or stable coins are utilized against like different pools. And we want to make sure all those different pools are not contingent with each other. Like they should all be independent from each other. Because obviously from, I guess, the Morpho event or the other event, you will see like many strategies on the market. They are composed of like similar asset class. And then if you have two strategies that put into the same class pool, then it kind of defeats the purpose of all diversification.
Right. Yeah, I think having that earn AUSD pool is like a smart one to start with, or just like, even if
there's no leverage and then this is non-borrowable and everything. Yeah. Do you want to show? Yeah, let's show.
Yeah, I think having that ability to people want to see where the yield comes from. So like that breakdown that you showed, I think is really important to have that clarity. Something, this is like a little bit of alpha. We're putting the final touches on leverage. So, traditionally you're, depositing on like a page in order to deposit to get your earn AUSD, and you're depositing Curvens, borrowing against it. So now having the ability to go in and, deposit and like leverage up your position and doing the manual looping, I think will, really open up the floodgates, but also deleveraging because people don't want to unwind all their positions. So having the ability to take like the Rapmon and then deleverage it down to zero will make things easier.
I mean, do you guys plan to build a function where you're gonna like one-click sell Mon?
I mean, we've like talked about building some like additional products for to integrate, like having our own maybe decks and stuff like that. But I think right now, just having it like Kyber swap like paired in on the back end and having the ability to have that integrated and make all the functions abstracted away is because people don't want to like click through all these different platforms to get the types of assets they need. So having the ability to like one-click zap from, you've got like a bag of wrapped Mon and you want to zap it into a USD. So having that ability to just, like I said, one-click zap will be really powerful.
And then going back to what we were saying about, I guess, like how you guys have envisioned Curvens will be integrated by, say, Fidelity, right? So you mentioned about, say, the gold or tokenized equity, which is the stocks. I know Robinhood, they are building a layer two. They're
Mhm.
gonna be using like the arbitrage stack, and then they are constantly gonna. I think they have already given out a couple of hints where they want to enable the tokenized stocks, because there are so many retail users who are buying stocks on Robinhood, and it will be really really cool. One day there will be a function say, "Oh, you bought Circle, you bought SpaceX, you bought Nvidia, and then now you can withdraw to the Robinhood chain." And then I also know some friends who are building specifically on the Robinhood chain as a money market to enable the like lending and borrowing of tokenized equities. So I'm actually very very looking forward to that, because traditionally, like all those leveraging and deleveraging of the equities only happen in those traditional finance venues. It's a bit more of, okay, your balance only lives in the accounting books and the data center for those traditional finance venues. But if we are moving it on chain, then we kind of have a golden accounting book for also your stock holdings. And it will also definitely unlock more leverage and earning opportunities in DeFi for those tokenized equities.
Right. So the core benefits would be, because I mean, a lot of this is already kind of feeless. Like if I'm on Robinhood, it's like if I'm trading Amazon, it's feeless, but it's like there's speed involved there, so it's fast. But even just like having the ability to like gift someone a share of stock would be kind of interesting if it's all on chain. Like if I have my own account and on a different platform, let's say it's Charles Schwab, I assume you could, if it's all integrated on the same chain on our Arbitrum, hypothetically, you could send it to someone else. And I guess wouldn't that unlock the ability to trade like after hours the same way you would with, crypto too? So it kind of opens up the doors, I assume, to not being confined within a trading window. But then it's
Yeah.
a security point too. So there's a lot of benefits to that.
Yeah, I mean the New York Stock Exchange is already planning to extending its trading hours from what is it, like 9 to 4 5 days to 24 5 days. And then essentially I think if we will get to a point where it'll be like 24/7, maybe
Right.
minus 1 hour of like operation arrangement.
I mean, you already have people that, trade crypto that way, where they just are, they sleep for 4 hours and they drink like Celsius energy all day. And that's just going to make it even worse, where people don't never clock out. They're just always like locked into their battle station trading. But
Celsius is so bad for health, guys.
I don't drink it. I'm not saying I do, or I used to, but gosh, that's will mess you up.
I think there's some research papers saying like Celsius gonna literally deteriorating your health level.
Yeah.
I think I only drink it once, and then I almost feel an instant pump of energy, and I was like, okay, this thing is poison. Let's never drink it again.
So unnatural. What's your like drink of choice? Are you like a coffee person or tea or what?
I'm more of a coffee person.
Mm-hmm.
And recently I started to learn more of those like TikTok tricks, or where you can make creative coffees. Like you can add, say, seltzer water to your coffee or frozen banana. And then you can also foam in your coffee to make it more like condensed, add some like a small piece of butter. I think this is like super fun.
Yeah. It also makes it easier on your stomach too. I feel like for me, I've kind of had like some issues with my stomach for the past year, and adding like, like coconut oil or even like olive oil, I'll put in it, because having that fat is like a base, like speeds up or I guess it slows down the digestion, but it kind of gives you a cleaner caffeine buzz, rather than just you drink an empty stomach and it just hits you and you're just like shaking because you got so much caffeine in your bloodstream.
For those who just joined the live stream, welcome to Maina and Tom's Coffee Kitchen. This morning we are introducing Banana Sunday coffee.
Someone bought that. I thought this was a DeFi stream. I didn't realize this was like a beverage cocktails here.
Yeah, because we got sponsored by Celsius negatively.
We yeah, that was like a shameless plug for Celsius. The audience doesn't know that.
Yeah, but are you more of a coffee person?
I've always been really into coffee. I've kind of converted to tea just because it's sort of easier on my stomach. So I'll drink like a ton of green tea, and I just have like caffeine pills that I'll take to kind of like augment the difference in
What?
caffeine.
Wait, what is caffeine pills? Now I'm curious. What is that?
Yeah, it's just like it's got theanine in it, so it like helps to kind of like calm you down a little bit. But I'll take like the caffeine pill after I've had my breakfast. So because just green tea alone isn't enough caffeine for me, so I need like the extra boost.
It's real. Caffeine pills are concentrated supplements typically containing 100 to 200 milligrams of caffeine per dose, designed to increase mental alertness, boost energy, and enhance focus. Okay, interesting. I never knew that exists. So are you also taking like what is it called? Pepside or those kind of things?
What is it called?
The injection of the pepside or what is it?
Oh, peptides.
Yeah, peptides. Yes.
I've taken there's one called BPC 157, and that's for like gut healing and like wound healing stuff. But obviously there's ones that are for like more aesthetic things. Like, you've got one that makes you like really tan, and then there's retatrutide, which is for like fat loss and all these things. But I'm really cautious about like anything that's injectable. So the only kind I've taken is just an orally, like a capsule. But I'm not gonna sit and like take like a needle and put it in my butt cheek. That just seems pretty sketchy.
So you're saying the peptide you take was making you more tanned?
Making me what, you said?
More tanned, you
The
said.
one the one that I had wasn't. This was like strictly for like gut healing, but there's one that you can take that's injectable. It has something to do with like your melatonin or melanin production. I'm already tan enough as it is, so I don't think I need any more.
Are you sure you're tanning now?
I Well, during the wintertime, I use like there's like lotions that you can use. I always sit up at my pool pretty often, so I get like a nice base in the summer.
I
Um,
always want to understand what's the relationship between people and tanning themselves because I'm Asian. Asian women never want to tan themselves. In fact, it's always the opposite. Like why? No.
that's a
I
great.
know we are off the topic. I know, but I'm just like really curious. I wanted this to get answered.
I never thought about that. I've never seen someone that's of Asian like descent be tan. It's just like never a combination because your skin is so like pure. It's like, why would you, I guess, want to like amplify that, and it's important to wear sunscreen, obviously, but I feel like I'm probably aging myself by being in the sun too much, So, but I'm just like a pasty white guy, so I gotta like I gotta make up for it somehow.
Sounds good. It's the first time I hear a guy saying he is tanning himself. This
There's
is
a first for
interesting.
everything. Yeah.
but good luck on tanning yourself. I think this is a good start.
Well, I'll try to be better about wearing sunscreen because it's going to catch up to me eventually. So I'll let you know how I look by the end of the summer. I'll be like a completely shade darker next live stream we do.
And we invite Mai.
Yeah, and he'll be since he doesn't leave his cave, I think he's going to be quite pale, to be honest with you.
Yeah, quite pale, and I don't think he is trying to tanning himself.
I don't think he cares because he never really comes on live streams anyways, and then we don't go to conferences at all. So it's like, what's really the point? He's never shown in public. We just keep him locked away in the coding.
He goes to conference. What are you talking about?
We used to, but I think this year I don't know if we really plan to do any, but we'll see. But where did you meet him first? In New York somewhere?
No, actually, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. He came to my event when I was still building my last company, and I was hosting this like I would say it was a good event, like in a church. Like it's like 3 floors, and then we planned the whole like event space. And then at that time, I think we already chatted a little bit about integration because at that time, at first, I think you guys were still focusing on like liquidity provisioning. Like that was many years ago, and then we we had access to a lot of those like front end, say, wallets or user bases, or even like connection to the solvers. So like potentially we're talking about, oh, we integrate you guys as one of the liquidity sources, and then we both get the utilization. That's how I met so it was like 3-4 years ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah, mine was I would say like a more what's the word in English? It's like he has not experienced so much complicated things from society. He was still just like building the protocol purely. But now I think like 2-3 years or 4 years later, I think he has experienced so much shit from the industry. He's a little bit like aged.
Yeah, it's he's definitely, we owe him like a vacation somewhere after it's all said done, because like I'll be, seeing friends on the weekend, and it'll be like 10 o'clock at night on a Friday, and he's still working. Like it's just pretty much like around the clock all weekend and all week, and I'm just not built like that. Like for someone who's like a creative type, like I have X amount of time during the day, my brain will work to come up with ideas, but I think he just drinks espresso and just codes. It's a different type of man's just built different.
Yeah, you're built out of tanning cream. He's like built out of espresso.
Complete opposite types of people. That's why I think it's important to have like a team that's diverse and has your own quirks and skills that you bring to the table. How many people are on your guys' team?
We have 7.
Okay.
Yeah. How large is your team?
Well, same, like 7 or 8.
Yeah, we are the majority. I mean, majority is in New York City, but we also have like team member in Berlin, in like Europe time zone.
Gotcha. Do you guys plan to go to many conferences this year, or not so much?
I am actually thinking about like going to Miami for consensus, because I think like a lot of institutions will be going. Are you guys going?
I don't think so. What's the date for that?
It's May 5th to May 8th.
Gotcha.
And then before that is like F1.
Gosh, it's coming up soon, isn't it? That'd be fun. Like that's a good time of year to go down there before it gets like super hot.
Yeah, we can get a live stream with all the Curvens team members. Hello from the Miami Beach.
We're actually there. Yeah, we'll put my on like a FaceTime just to feel like we're there and put in spirit.
Yeah, I have to yap nonstop for 30 minutes to explain how Curvent operates, the credit system works.
Give us like, and then the next thing you know, it's 40 minutes later, and you've let him talk. Sometimes you gotta like, know, tell him to say it in layman's terms with some of this stuff, like how it affects the user and whatnot. But
40 minutes later, we all come back from our power nap.
Yeah, we're like drooling on ourselves at that point.
but okay, let's come back to DeFi a little bit. So like if I'm a 5-year-old child, or let's say 15-year-old teenager, right? How would you explain the risk of using Curvens to me?
I would say, I think with all, I guess in traditional finance terms, you have, like a, bank that, let's say like Bank of America, or if you're using like a stock account or Fidelity account, a lot of these types of services or products are, backed by insurance. And with DeFi, a lot of these different types of products, it's because it's a new frontier, and because you're getting higher yields, you're taking on kind of like that risk of, you as the user, you're responsible for your wallet, which is a place where you store your crypto assets on chain. And, if you it's up to you as the user to have that autonomy to connect to, a DeFi protocol like Curvance, and, make sure that you're monitoring, your assets that you have, on chain. But yeah, I mean, as far as I guess like the, risk go, as the user, if you're participating in some of these more complex strategies where you're leveraging up, you can get there's certain things called liquidation can occur. But I would say from a security standpoint, a protocol like Curvance is audited. We've had Cantina Y audit, Pashov, and 2 or 3 others. So I think even though from a DeFi standpoint, a lot of these products aren't backed by insurance, we have like buttoned up our security and spent a lot of time plugging in so that when you connect your wallet, you have that type of protection so that you can sleep at night. So I think that's, like we said, the beauty of using a product like Sprout is removing a lot of the complexity, and you're able to participate and get yield in a lending pool like Curvance, without having to constantly monitor some of these risks. So I know that's probably like a long-winded, maybe more complex answer for a 15-year-old, but sometimes like I have a tough time in layman's terms explaining a lot of these things to friends because I have to like compare it to products that they're familiar with and they already use, like a Robinhood or like even just a traditional bank. And if they're getting 3.5% on a high yield savings account, they understand the concept of yield and being able to grow their assets. So I think that's at least a start.
Have you ever tried to get your friends on Curvance, like your normal Web2 friends?
I've had a couple. I did set my parents up with a wallet, and I just basically gave them like a certain amount of like my Mon airdrop so that they could kind of play around with it and see how like leverage works. So I basically like put them on a like set them up with an LST position and looped it up like 6 times so they can see where like essentially where their debt is and how they're making like the difference in the margin on yield. So I think it's cool to see like people like that are either older or like friends of mine like get excited about stuff like this, because anything above 4% seems like a lot for people that are used to only getting like 3% in their high yield savings account. So seeing like something like Sprout where they're able to pair it into Curvance and they're getting like 9% on stable positions, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, last year our user, of course, like last year we weren't open. I mean, even till today we weren't like 100% open, but the users who have been using our product earn a range between like 5% to 27%. So I think like it's great. It's just like hard. I think a lot of times it's just hard to explain to them why you are earning such a high yield. But essentially, I would just tell them, hey, like even if you're depositing your money into the banks, but the banks are not sharing their revenue or whatever they're earning on top of that money with you. They are doing all those like leveraging or investment stuffs behind you. Like they also don't necessarily need to disclose to you like how they are using your money, because they only have the minimal, I guess, the requirement for cash, like where they need to hold. And even the central bank, they will actually say, oh, you cannot hold that much amount of percentage, right? You need to distribute the money out. So that's why I think like it's not really a fair game for retail users to say, oh, I deposit my money in the bank. Yes, the good side is they feel like, oh, the banks will be paying them back whatever it is whenever there's a problem. But then they're also missing out the actual revenue opportunities.
Yeah, I think just the concept of DeFi is really cool to like. It's tough to explain sometimes because you almost have to, like we said, compare it to like a real life scenario. But having that peer-to-peer interaction, and Curvance is just this like broker in between the two, and a bank kind of is too. But like to your point, having a bank to be doing all this mysterious stuff with your money, and then you're just getting a flat amount. Whereas like on Curvance, depending on what the demand is on the other end, it's just a direct route. And that's why the yield sometimes fluctuates, because like right now, like the market's changing, and the yields for like Raptmon are like really high right now. It's like you can get 60% APY by depositing, and that changes because if I go in there and dump 10 grand, it's going to drop the rate down. So it's all just based on like the and that's the beauty of it, is because sometimes you could be making a lot. And even if you're only making, 15% on Raptimon, that's still a lot in terms of like, traditional finance terms. So
Yeah, I can see really like the Mona ecosystem has been giving out a lot of incentive recently because they want to boost the TVL, and then we also see a little bit of comeback of their like token price. Um, I mean, I guess I'm a bit bullish.
what was the genesis or like the reason to build on Monad for you guys?
Sprout has always been like cross-chain ESOs, so because we want to put our eggs into different basket and to avoid any of like black swan events happening, which I think the last 3 to 5 months is a perfect demonstration of like why we choose to build a product like this, right? None of the ecosystem has been able to say, oh, we are 100% safe. Think about Aave, right? Ease and all the layer twos, and then you have Drip, which is on Solana. And I think it's more of a factor of like how you are able to come back from those black swan activities, rather than how do you avoid black swan activities, given like how volatile the markets are. And I don't think anybody is God saying, oh, I am going to be able to 100% avoid every single black swan activities. I mean, even for Sprout, we have always been very proud of like how we are so selective about the protocols that we integrate, but still results happen, right? And then we also took a small hit on that. So I really think it's more about like building a very steady risk system so that like you will be able to experience and go through like be alive through the up and down events of DeFi protocols. But I will say like the recent market is a bit upsetting because the risk and the rewards relationship is just not there, because we are in a bear market, and then there's not much of like diversified yield source on chain, and because of the utilization on chain is very low. So the only opportunities you can get, I guess, a little bit higher yield opportunity is like usually incentivized by some kind of counterparties. In this case, like for Curvens, you guys are heavily incentivized by the Monad ecosystem, right? And then similar apply to other strategies. I do see there's an uptick on the real world assets yield where like we integrate, say, for example, the Plume strategy. They are the liquidity is being used by Brazilian like credit card companies where they are like lending money, giving money to the credit card users, which they are giving out around like 10% or 11% of yield. I think that's an interesting vault that we have integrated, and I'm looking forward to integrating more of those kind of vaults.
Yeah, I think vault strategies will definitely be like a really strong narrative. We're already seeing that, and I think a lot of these, even on the institutional side, not just for retail, but these institutions just want to see like what are the risk parameters, like is it auditable, and then they just want to basically like have something where they can set it and forget it, and that's kind of all they care about. So I think that's what the way we've been trying to build is having those types of things in mind. And I think our app is very different than like how we started, and even the concept of it years ago when came up with the idea has morphed and evolved quite a bit. So sometimes you just have to adapt to the market, and being in a bear, you do the best you can. But I think a lot of these like exotic kind of like yield bearing stables will continue to really do well. So
I mean, what's the next step of you guys? I guess like since you are responsible for all the marketing, like what's the general growth strategy for you guys so far?
I mean, I think a lot of it has been like institutional based. We've attempted to do like a lot of marketing around retail as well, and still working on that. But I think as we expand to other chains eventually, I think that's going to open up the doors to more liquidity, because right now I think we've kind of hit like our max like cap or like inflection point of potential that we can reach on Monad. And I think that'll continue to grow as well. And that doesn't mean that we won't still put a lot of time and attention into the ecosystem. But the fact of the matter is, like, there's a certain amount of liquidity that's always going to stay on ETH. It'll always stay on maybe even like an Arbitrum or even Base. I don't know. And if we're able to get the right types of incentives, then we'll make that happen. But we certainly don't want to be like an Aave where you just open the doors to launching on like 10 or 15 chains, and then you just kind of spread yourself too thin. So I think it's important to also be very tactile and cognizant of like and intentional about where you launch and the type of assets that you open these markets. So
why did you guys choose Monad to be the main launch partner?
I know like Maya had met Keone and the team years ago, and they kind of just like hit it off. I think when you work with people that are on the same wavelength as you, that's like really important. But I think as much hype as Monad had like last year about this time, or even before that leading up, there was just like a lot of synergies from the community side, from the tech side. It just felt like a new fresh breath of air into crypto. But on the tech side, I think, if we have these like grand visions of, growing to like billions in TVL, we want to have a infrastructure that allows you to be basically gasless for users, scalable and secure, and all the things, because when users are like making tons of these, transactions happen on ETH, like, it's just not quite as cost effective, but still, it doesn't mean we don't launch on ETH. But I think there's a lot wrapped into it, but those are the main things. And, if they're able to like incentivize our markets well, that's big. But yeah, it kind of felt like the right, synergy. And even from like the community standpoint, we were purple and they're purple. And I think Floppy fits, I guess you can't really see him because he's not coming up on there we go. You can kind of see him now. But the mascot side, really, people were hyped up about that at the beginning for whatever reason. So, I'm
thinking like, I let me go get something great.
Plushie too.
I mean, I guess everything from my side is great.
You have to. You gotta have like a lizard, alligator, like all the reptiles.
It's all need to be like sprawl thing, jungle thing. It all needs to have a leaf. I even have a leaf pillow where I guess like this crocodile can sit on the pillow.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love
that. But I can see, Currents and Monad are both purple.
Right. Good. Yeah, I think people love the like Molandocs and all that stuff. And I mean, to be honest, if you've seen like the Duolingo bird and they have like their own plushie, and that was like a really viral company for a company that does even just like something kind of boring, which is just learning like a new language, I guess. Like, it's not boring. It's not boring, but a lot of people, it's very like tedious, and they spend a lot of time. Like, that's why they went viral and got so many users, is because of like their marketing content and using this like bird plushie that they had and doing all sorts of crazy stuff with it. So we've tried to like integrate a lot of that stuff into like our marketing too. So always game to try new things, and I think that's a way to kind of like bring people in, and then as you kind of educate them on like the basics of DeFi, and then also how they can win themselves and give them the tools to be successful, whether that's Sprout or Curvance. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah. I mean, honestly speaking, I truly believe like the retail user adoption wouldn't be like, I believe in like educational content, right? But I also think like more and more I start to realize like we should seamlessly tap into their existing user flow. And that's why like I'm pushing so heavily on all the other apps that are already being heavily used in those different regions in, say, Asia. Like they're already using those payment apps every single day for purchases. And if you just give them a button, say, earn 10% by clicking on this button. And then if they just also have another button after they deposit, they can say, oh, withdraw, right? And then you just let them know when the money is available. I think that might be the easiest way. And then of course you need to have like disclosure in the app to tell the users, oh, there's might be involved some DeFi risk for your funds, but to a minimal. And I also think that will happen even the same with, say, poly markets, right? People are betting on so many different things, but do people need to know, okay, all the betting events or your transactions are happening on blockchain? They may know maybe like 2-3 years from now, but when they go to the app to use that specific product, they are actually focusing on, oh, actually I can bet on real life events and real-time events and earning that amount of money. That's like what people are really looking for. Like most of the retail users, they don't even know the difference between whether we have this transaction return on chain or not.
I remember like even the first time opening Aave, I was like, holy cow, like what, this was kind of before I understood DeFi, obviously, but for someone that has never seen this type of application, and that could be like your average user is like someone for Curvance, like they find out about us through a friend or on TikTok, and like you want to give them that experience that's like very straightforward and not feel archaic and clunky and all these little widgets that you don't understand. You want to have those like hoverovers with like the little info, dots that. And I love what you guys are doing because it just makes it super relatable to like the average person. I think like one of the pages that I was on this morning, play around with it, where it's asking you, I think like your type of like risk, I think, or like what you're saving for. It was like rent and like a new car or something. That's like, it hits home for a lot of people. And I think that's, you don't really see that. Aave is not going to like ask you, oh, well, what's like what are your goals? Like, no, this is just like a robotic like interface, and it's showing you like the bar and lending rates, and that's it, and it's worked for them though, so I can't say much, but I think the next wave of adoption that you have to like water it down and make it more simple.
Yeah, the next wave of adoption probably is more like a personal assistant vibe of feeling. It's like you talk to the agent, you say, oh, this is what I want. Can you get me that? And then all those different apps just like get you the desired results. Or maybe they will give you a breakdown of like, this is going to work, this is not going to work. There's a certain probability, say 80% of probability, you're going to get, say, 10% of APY, and 20% you will get like 5%, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've even talked about like, how back in the day, in Microsoft, they had like Clippy, like the little pop up like thing that you'd ask questions and have the same thing. You basically have like Floppy pop up and Floppy AI, and he would be the agent that you'd say, this, my risk is like a 7 out of 10. And, I have the X amount of assets, and, give me like a list of strategies, like you said. So I think that's the next wave.
Yeah. But I guess like, again, all those marketing messages need to be watered down a little bit, because I oftentimes realize that how I function or how I think different from maybe other group of users, right? I really like numbers breakdown probability, but the concept of probability doesn't really ring a bell for a lot of normal users. They don't want to hear, oh, what does that mean? Like you have 80% of chance to get this, you have 20% of chance to get that. They usually are seeking a little bit more reassurance. So I'm trying to learn and trying to adapt like the way we promote our product too.
Right. And also like having different mechanisms that like kind of induce like dopamine, so that people keep coming back to check the app. They get excited about like checking it each morning and seeing like it grow and having all these like green colors. I think that makes people excited. I know it's like the reason, like I go in and check my like Curvance yield each morning. People are simple creatures. It's just like all this poly market stuff, and why it's done so well is people just love to gamble. It's like wired in our DNA, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, what are some mechanisms that you guys are adopted at Curvens to make the users come back?
You're asking like what type of mechanics are we're doing with stuff like that. Uh,
Yeah.
I think like the what you were shown with the breakdown is kind of like a cool way to see like not just a 9% and like what does that even mean and like where am I seeing it, but I think we're working on some tooling that shows like growth over time. That's something that's been like requested is like
Mm,
I think you guys have that in yours where it's really like it's doing a calculation on like, oh, if
yeah.
I have 10 grand over 5 years at 9%, it's like auto compounding. Like, how do I
Yep.
like predict that? So I think that's kind of what we're working on now too. I can't share too much more than that, I guess, but yeah, I think having the ability to like right now, I guess you could still go into your Merkle and see it like where you have it on your claim. And then I guess like the Floppy's Fortune stuff that we've done, if you've ever played around with it, it's like a slot machine game and you can use your bite points to gamble. I think that's like kind of a fun way to get people,
I mean,
use.
what are they gambling to? If they use their buy points, what can they get?
It's basically just a way to get more and more bite points so that, like a lot of people, including myself, have like spent way too many of my bites that I've accrued. But to be honest, I've kind of stopped playing it because I want to get as many bites as I can for when the time comes. I'd rather just like let my portfolio just like, grow that position on the leaderboard basically. But if you're feeling froggy and you're feeling lucky one day, then go in and you can maybe have a chance to grow those points with the gambling game.
Sure. Okay. A lot more like
DJ.
degen
Right.
strategies.
Right.
I'm against gambling.
We need to have like disclosures, I think, on our page to keep people, or like it'd be funny to have like a gambling hotline at the bottom and it's like Floppy on the phone or something. It's like if you or a loved one, have a gambling problem, please call like this number.
But the problem I can see for the society, or maybe I'm just super biased because of the friends around me or the information I get from crypto Twitter. I
Mhm.
can generally see people are more and more towards like entertainment and gambling daily, right? And then people are more and more used to Polymarket because I was never a Polymarket user until like recently. I was like, oh, this is actually fun. And I started to put a little bit more into that. And I try to, take a more, me personally, I think it's more like soft forecast. But at the end of the day, like you are placing odds on the outcomes of different events. And there's always randomness. And then so I think like if me like for someone who has been, I think I'm pretty like stoic, I'm pretty like self-disciplined. If I'm trying those different things, I don't know like how like other people are facing those situations.
Yeah, you got to think there's people that just get so sucked down the rabbit hole, and next thing you know, they're gambling on like the weather each day, and even I've seen people do really well just gambling on the movement of Bitcoin every day at like 3 o'clock or whatever it is. They just have like a process in place, or these people that claim that they're using like an agent to figure out like arbitrage opportunities. Like more power to them, but it's like I don't really have the time to like monitor like a trading bot or set that up really. But it seems like the opportunities are becoming more and more scarce. I imagine. I think a lot of that arbitrage is probably gone.
Okay. I hope everyone is having fun and only using the money that they can afford to lose to do those things.
Correct. It's not financial advice. None of this stream is financial advice, but hopefully people learned something and had a good time in the process. So
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's almost like 70 minutes in for the live stream. We talk about really a range of topics. I mean, we really should talk a little bit more about DeFi, but I think we did touch the point of like what we think about the Abe event, what Curvens has been doing, our beverage making business.
Uh, so the coffee recipes, where DeFi is going.
But I mean, I think next time, hopefully, like you guys, I mean, maybe the whole Curvens team can come to the live stream, and then we can talk about a little bit more updates from the Curvens side. Um, and any like last thoughts about DeFi Curvens, or even you want to share something personal?
Yeah, I think in the next couple of weeks we'll have more to share. I think right now there's like even like the leverage I would probably like hasn't been fully announced, but I've already teased it. So I think that's like kind of fair game. And we're looking at more chain expansions. That's kind of the other teaser as well. So I think like I'll have more to reveal, and we'll have to have Mai on here as well to get into some of like the more technical details. And
I will grill him.
The thing is, he'll always have a great answer for you because he's just so cracked,
I know. I will grill him.
And it's a 20-minute stream. I think it'll be we have him on. I think it'll double that time. So you'll have to
3 hour. Yeah, we need to block the whole afternoon.
Yeah, it just ends right at 60 minutes.
Yeah, we need to block, and there's a timer on the screen for every single question we ask him. Like, time is up. No more answer.
I was gonna say you might be stuck on the first question 30, 40 minutes in. So yeah, you got to cap them at each answer.
Anyways, thank you for coming on, Tom, and very pleasant conversation with you. And I look forward to the next conversation.
Let's do it. We'll have to have you on that Build on Monad Spaces, maybe if we want to still do next week. So we'd love to dive more on the Sprout side for sure. So thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, but we need to like put it not Tuesday morning, because usually Tuesday morning I have my other live stream. Like I can do Tuesday afternoon.
That's right. We'll figure something out. But yeah, it'd be a lot of fun to talk more about the partnership and whatnot, but or just Monad in general. So
yeah. Bye guys.
That was fun.